Welcome everyone. As I mentioned in the beginning, today's session will be shared and recorded. And today we'll tell you something about buying in Groningen. Well, unfortunately, you have to deal with me, but otherwise, Rafaela would have given this webinar. She's a buying manager at Expat Housing Network and responsible for the region of Groningen. So if you ever decide to work with us, she will be helping you out. But also we'd like to know a little bit more about you guys. So Rafaela, if you can pop in the poll, so we can tailor the webinar a little bit. I think it's always nice to know how you find us and why you've decided to buy a property. All right, I see. I can't see the answers, unfortunately. Yeah, let's go on. What are we covering today? So first, a short introduction. Then we will talk a little bit about the market, about market info, and about the market drivers. Also, we'll cover the topic of savings, very important when you're purchasing a property. Then we'll give you some tips to win in this market, and then we'll cover the entire timeline of purchasing a property. First, we at EHN, we believe that greatness is achieved in the agency of others. So it's not only me and Rafaela who are working for EHN, but we have a lovely team. All of us are either Dutch people who live abroad, like me, Ludo and Ellen, or we are expats ourselves, like Rafaela and Giovanna. Both of them are from Brazil. And the team, I think we speak quite some languages together. So we know what it's like to settle in a new country, and I think that's the power of EHN. Well, as we're talking about EHN, we are no traditional real estate agents. I already mentioned it. We are either expats ourselves or we have lived abroad. So yeah, we totally understand what it is like for you guys. We help with buying and renting, but today's session is focused on buying and more specifically in Groningen. We charge a fixed fee and no commission or percentage of the purchase price. A lot of agents they charge you between 1% and 2% of the purchase price, while we think it's fair to charge a fixed fee since we offer the same service to everyone. Yeah, and I already mentioned that we know what it's like to settle in a new country. What is our added value? Selling agents take offers from other agents more seriously. First of all, we make sure that the right things, what should be in the offer, are mentioned in the offer. And also we have a network. So selling agents, they know if we've made an offer, that it's likely that we will not pull out. And also due to our network, we are sometimes able to book viewings while it's no longer possible for you guys. Furthermore, we support by reviewing Dutch legal documents. Very important to understand what you're actually buying, and yeah, those documents can be quite hard if you don't speak Dutch. This is a very important point. We help you define the market value through market data. I will explain you this later on in detail, but definitely one of the most important things in this process. Furthermore, we'll inform you about rules and regulations. So every property has its own rules, regulations, and restrictions. And of course, you'd like to know them before you purchase a property. And then finally, we've all been through the process of finding a property. So we know that it can be really hard. So we hope we can prevent you from making the same mistakes as we made in the past. All right. Another question: where in the process are you, Rafaela? Can you pop up the poll again? All right. I see some of you, or most of you, haven't had a chat with an agent, some with a mortgage advisor. Most of you guys are in the orientation phase. Well done. I think you're on the right place then. I hope you will learn something today. Talking about the market. First, let's have a look at the market in the Netherlands in general. So the average price last year or this year, Q2, was 448,000 euros. You can see below in the graph that prices have been rising yeah, quite fast over the past years, except from the drop in from 2008 to 2013. Of course, this was the financial crisis, but from 2013 on, prices yeah, have been rising quite fast. Then looking at the Groningen market, so last Q2, 931 houses were sold. That's 11% more than last year and 38% more than Q1. There's a little bit less than 600,000 houses for sale. Also, an increase of 80 or 48% compared to the year before, and 63 compared to Q1. In Groningen, the average purchase price in Q2 was 348,000 euros, and you can see that's more than 11% higher than the year before. The average price per square meter is 3,308, and the average sales times was about 22 days. So it's a very fast-moving market. Things are slowing down a little bit, so I think that's a good sign. But still, yeah, it is a very competitive market. Market drivers. So what causes the prices to increase? First of all, we have some fiscal benefits. The first one is the tax exemption. So if you're purchasing a property below 400,000 euros and you are under the age of 35 years, then you are exempted of the transfer tax. And the transfer tax is 2% of the purchase price. Let's say you're purchasing with a partner, and the price of the property is below 400,000 but you are 33 and your partner is 37. Basically, that means that one of you has to pay for the transfer tax, so you end up buying 1%. The interest rebate. Good to know is that you can claim back some of you can deduct the interest from your income, so you will get something back in the end of the year. So that's nice. No capital gains. What do we mean by that? A lot of people in the Netherlands, they own a property for a long time, and they've made a nice profit. And as long as you invested in a new property, you don't have to pay any tax on the profit. A free tax-free parent donation. Excuse me. It says ending. Why is that? From this year, parents in the Netherlands are able to donate 102, I think, with around 100,000 euros to their children if they're going to purchase a property without paying any tax. From next year on, this will be lowered to around 30,000, and from 2024, this is not applicable anymore. But yeah, with all the benefits, you can imagine there's a lot of money in the market. Then this one is interesting. It says low interest rates. Of course, interest rates have been rising quite fast over the past months. But if you look at it from a historical point of view, interest rates are still not really high. So it's not that that money is for free. But yeah, it's not super expensive either. And then finally, I think we've got two more points. High rents. The buying market is competitive, but I don't know if you guys have any experience with the rental market, but it's maybe even worse. The prices of rents keep on rising, and you even see overbidding on rental prices. I think that's really not common. So of course, people are looking for alternatives. If you pay 1,500 to 2,000 euros a month, it's gone every month. Then of course, it's beneficial to purchase something since you build up equity. And this is the point I meant, the last one, the lack of supply. And if you ask me, this is the main reason why prices are so high. In the Netherlands currently we have a shortage of 300,000 houses. Um, so yeah, there's a huge demand for properties. Yeah, it's basic economics, supply and demand. Demand is basically much higher than what we have. The government they are trying to build as much as they can, but with everything going on in the world right now, projects get delayed. Um, so if you ask me, it's still yeah, interest rates have been rising, but we don't see a drop or the decrease in the value of the properties, and that's due to the fact there is yeah, a huge shortage and a lack of supply. Then some other relevant news articles or topics. The first one is the self-occupancy obligation. So in order to ban or yeah, ban investors, a lot of municipalities they invented the self-occupancy obligation, and for Groningen, this applies for properties up to a WOZ value of 305,500 euros. What does it mean? If you're purchasing property below this value, below this WOZ value, you can't rent it out, and you need to live there yourself. Other important topic, smoke detectors. As of July this year, it is obligated to have smoke detector on each level of your property. So please keep an eye on that as well, as you don't want to end up in a fight with your uh, insurance. And then I already discussed it. Interest rates have been rising. So in the beginning of this year, I think they were around 1.5, and yeah, now I think interest rates on average are between 3 and 4%. It's not money is not as cheap as in the beginning of this year, but still, looking from a historical point of view, it's not super expensive either. All right, then the topic of savings, very important in the process. So what would you need to have in order to purchase a property? First, transfer tax. We already discussed. So if you're purchasing a property, you have to pay 2% transfer tax if you're going to live there yourself. If you're purchasing a property as an investment, you have to pay 8%. But you're exempted of the transfer tax if you're younger than 35 and the purchase price is below 400,000 euros. Then you need to sign the mortgage and the transfer the notary. Depends a little bit on the notary you'll choose, but on average it's between 600 and 1100 euros per deed. Everything which is mortgage related is tax deductible. So the mortgage deed, of course, but also the mortgage broker can be deducted. Depends a little bit. If you choose for a bank, it's a little bit cheaper than an independent mortgage broker. However, I always recommend to at least have a chat with a mortgage broker. Of course, the bank they can offer you some different types of mortgages, But a broker, they can, yeah, offer you different multiple suppliers. So I think in the end, the mortgage suits your needs better. Then a typical real estate agent, they will charge you between 1 and 2% of the purchase price. Um, as mentioned in the beginning, at EHN, we don't do that. We charge a fixed fee, so you know what you have to pay. Then, in order to apply for a mortgage, the bank wants to know what's the actual value of the property. So they require a appraisal report. The appraisal between 650 and 800 euros. Again, it depends on the appraiser you choose. Technical inspector costs are around 435 euros. If you're not, if you don't speak Dutch, then legally it's obligated to have an interpreter during the transfer. So someone needs to translate the deeds to make sure you understand what you're signing for. Then, if you've signed a purchase agreement, part of it says that you need to provide a deposit or a bank guarantee. The bank guarantee, you don't need to transfer the actual 10% of the purchase price. It will cost you around 250 euros. And then NHG, it's not applicable for everyone, but if you make use of this regulation, the costs are 0.6% of the mortgage amount. However, in the long run, it's more beneficial for you as it gives you a discount on the interest rate. All right, 3 tips to win the current market. First one, and I already mentioned it before, it's very important to know the market value. So value, value, value. And I think I can explain best by showing you guys an example. We have this property, and the asking price is 395,000 euros. We're going to do a price research, and based on comparables, we can see that the market value is 415,000 euros. So there's a difference of 20k. But as said, it's still quite a competitive market. In order to purchase the property, we need to overbid a little bit. So the purchase price is 435,000 euros. The difference between the asking price and the purchase price is 40k, so 10%. However, the difference between the market value and the purchase price is 20k, so only 4.8%. Well, if we take the same property, but let's say the agent, because the market is cooling down a little bit, he has a slightly different strategy. So we said, okay, it's the same property, but I'm going to put it online for 375. As said, market value is the same because it's the same property, and the purchase price is also the same. Now, the difference between the purchase price and the asking price is 16%, while the difference between the market value and the purchase price is still 4.8%. So therefore, please keep in mind there's no general rule on how much you should overbid. You have always have to look at the market value, and then you can decide what you'd like to offer. So there's no general rule, as I mentioned, like you need to overbid by 5 or 10%. You really have to look at the market value. All right, what is a winning offer? We have some tips. Winning offer is not always offer a good price, but not always the highest price. To give you an example, if you make an offer with a financial clause, meaning that if you can't finance the property with your mortgage, you can pull out, and you offer a really high price, and the sellers don't believe that the value is close to what you offer, then they might choose for someone else because they want security. And yeah, that's what they're looking for. So if you, for example, have a mortgage advisor, maybe you can add a letter from your mortgage advisor, which indicates how much you can borrow. Stuff like that in order to provide them with security. Then offer the least amount of hassle. What do we mean by that? Um, Maybe the current owners, they're moving back to their home country, and they want to get rid of the furniture. Well, maybe you can make an offer taking over all the furniture, or if they're waiting on their new build to be finished, please don't require. I just say that um, don't ask for a transfer date to happen in the coming weeks or months. Then be able to wait a few months in order, yeah, since they have to wait on their new loan. And finally, offer a personal touch. I won't say it's make a deal breaker or make it, but if you're offering the same price and you offer a nice personal touch, people might choose for you. 3, do diligence. Do your due diligence correctly. So we have two parties, the technical inspector and the appraiser. And my question to you guys is, do you book those before or after your offer is accepted? Maybe you can put it in the chat. Maybe you can show them the answer, Rafaela. After your offer is accepted. Why is that? Of course, you need to pay the appraiser and the technical inspector. So if you have to pay every time you make an offer, yeah, then it's a waste of money. So right after your offer is accepted, you start booking the appraiser and the technical inspector. Preferably to receive the report, both reports before you sign the purchase agreement, so you know if there's any red flags, if there's any issues, constructional issues, and what the value is of the property before the signing of the purchase contract or within the cool-off period. Because if you've signed the purchase agreement, you have a cool-off period of 3 days in which you can dissolve the contract without paying a penalty. But if for some reason you'd like to cancel the contract after those 3 days, you need to pay a penalty equal to 10% of the purchase price. So obviously that's something you'd like to avoid. So therefore, it's best to book them right after the acceptance of the offer, so you have everything right on time, and there's no need for you to pull out anymore. All right, then let's cover the entire process with this timeline. In order to start the process, the first thing you need to do is to talk to a bank, to a mortgage advisor, to sort out your finances, and then you can start looking for properties. Once you found some interesting properties, of course, you go to the viewings, and then if you like the property, you can submit your offer. But before submitting an offer, of course, you have to do the research. So at EHN, we can help you with the price research and with the market value. So with the price research, we look at comparable properties in the same street or neighborhood, and based on that, we can see what the market value will be. And with the property document review, we'll check any documents related to the property. Especially when you buy apartments, you have homeowners associations. It is important to check what maintenance has been done, what maintenance is planned. Does the association have enough savings in order to cover those costs, or is it expected that you need to pay additional fees? But also in terms of other issues like do they have issues with moisture or whatsoever? We discussed the two reports, and based on that, we can draft our offer, and hopefully our offer will be accepted. Then, as I just explained, you start booking the appraiser and the technical inspector. Once those have been booked and you receive the reports, you can sign the purchase contract. And after the signing of the purchase contract, you can start applying for your mortgage. Depends a little bit on your bank or on your mortgage advisor, but in general, this will take about 4 weeks. And of course, you have the cool-off period in which you can pull out without paying the penalty. After your mortgage has been approved, the final thing that you do basically is to sign the transfer deed. This will happen at the notary's office. But a week before the actual transfer, you will receive a statement of completion. It's a final note. Basically, it's an overview with all the costs you have to pay. So if you have to pay transfer tax, the fee for your broker, for your mortgage advisor, you pay everything at once just before the actual transfer. And then on the day of transfer, before you go to the notary, you go to the property once more to do a final inspection to check if the property is in the same condition as during the viewing. Let's say the current owners, they broke something with moving out. Of course, that's something you'd like to avoid or you don't want. So then you inform the notary and they will keep a certain amount in their account in order to fix it. And once these signatures have been, once the deeds have been signed, you are the owner of your new property. All right. Then the services that we offer at EHN. We have a smart package, a complete package, and a new build package. With the smart package, we are more like an online consult. So you will go to the viewings yourself, and then if you've decided you'd like to make an offer, we can help you with the price research, with the property document review, with the submission of the offer. Of course, we will review the contract for you, booking the third parties, and some transfer support. But if you have the feeling like I'd like to have someone joining me to the viewings because I don't know what to ask, I don't know what to look for, then the complete package is something for you. Since with this package we'll be physically there for you during the viewings, but also during the inspection, the notary, and the final inspection on the transfer date. And if you're interested in new builds, it's a different process. We can also support you with that. If you're interested, feel free to go to our website and schedule an intake with us, and we'd love to look at your file. All right, the Q&A. Let me see if there are some questions. I see the first one: why the market value of the property didn't decrease in the cooling market, for example, higher cost of mortgage. It seems that the value is determined by similar properties that should see similar negative price action. Good question. So why the market value hasn't decreased? Of course, there's a lot of factors influencing the price. And one of them, and it's a very important factor, is of course the interest rate. So how expensive is money at the moment? The more expensive, so the higher the interest rate, less people can borrow. But the main problem or the main issue is the fact that we have a shortage of properties. So the demand is so high that prices have been rising over the past months. And what you'll see now is that it is cooling down. So we don't see such increases anymore. The market is stabilizing. And yeah, I don't think prices will increase that fast anymore. But certainly, I don't believe that it will decrease dramatically in the near future. So I hope that that answers your question. Then we have another question. So there's no 10 or 15% down payment needed when purchasing a house. No, no down payment needed. In the purchase contract, it says that you need to provide them with or you have to transfer 10% of the purchase price to the notary. However, not everyone, of course, has this amount on his bank account. So you can also provide them with a bank guarantee. and then you don't have to transfer the actual 10%. All right. What percentage of the purchase price would you believe should be saved for various costs? Um, Depends a little bit on your file. Of course, the transfer tax can be quite expensive, especially if you're on the higher side. What you can do is you can go to our website expathousing.network.com, and there's a calculator, and you can see what the buying cost will be. It really depends on different things, I would say. So yeah, that's hard to give it a percentage, but around maybe 4 to 5% if you're not if you don't have to pay the transfer tax. If you have to, a little bit higher. Regarding the technical inspection, how does this inspection impact the price condition of the transaction if some significant damages upcoming renovations are discovered? That's a good question. So how it works, basically there's different scenarios. So you can either make an offer and mention, like, if the direct costs are higher than a specific amount, I don't want to proceed with the purchase. But what happens most often is that you start negotiating again with the sellers, and then you just tell them, like, hey, during the viewing, or when we made the offer, we were not aware of the fact that, I don't know, there's some issues. So how are we going to solve this? And yeah, can we find a new price? And that's yeah, what happens most often. Next question: is there anything different for foreign citizens than for locals or European citizens? Do you mean everyone is able to purchase a property in the Netherlands? So there's no differences, as long as you can yeah, either get a mortgage or transfer the money, then it's fine. All right, I see another question in the chat. Are there any restrictions for German people to purchase a flat or a house and rent it out? Is the amount of 305,000 euros also applicable? Yes. So it's not related to where you're from, if you're Dutch or if you're from Germany. It's every property in Groningen has this self-occupancy clause up until a WOZ value of 305,000 euros. All right. No further questions. If you do have any questions left, feel free to schedule an intake with us. No strings attached. As mentioned, we'd like to hear your story and see if we can be of added value for you. Then I want to thank you guys for joining this webinar. Enjoy the sun. It's one of the last summer days, I think. So yeah, hopefully you can enjoy, and I hope to speak to you soon.